Okay, you're welcome to today's class. Today we are going to be discussing um, process costing as it relates to accountants. Now, oftentimes we talk about process costing, and when we talk about process costing, we are actually looking at that method of costing that is used to determine the cost of a product that its production is continuous and repetitive in nature. For example, when we talk about the cost of producing fuel, diesel, kerosene, we are looking at a process costing system. Now, I haven't talked about process costing. There are a lot of things we are going to look at under process costing. So, process costing as a topic will take us more than 6 different classes to be covered extensively. Note this. It will take us more than 6 different classes to cover this topic extensively. So this is process costing 1. So you will be looking at having process costing 2 subsequently. Thank you. Now we're going to look at introduction, normal loss, abnormal gain today. So these are the 4 things we're going to look at. Hence, let's start. Now, when we talk about process costing, I've told you is a costing method. Costing methods are classified into 2 ordinarily: specific order costing and continuous order costing. Specific order costing is a costing system that is used to produce that is used for products that are distinct and also based on customer specification. There are 3 major types of specific order costing. 1 is contract costing, 2 job costing, 3 batch costing. Now, another type of costing method is continuous order costing. Continuous order costing is a type of costing system that is used where a product involves a repetitive process. You understand? Now, there are 2 major breakdown of continuous order costing: process costing and service costing. So this is what we're going to be looking at here. Process costing. So process costing is a type of continuous order costing, you understand, that is used to determine cost per unit, you understand, by accumulating the total cost of production and dividing it by the total unit produced. That will give us cost per unit. So that is process costing. In order not to waste time, we can look at characteristics of process costing. There are many characteristics of process costing, but these few are identified here. The first one is attributes are normally produced continuously. 2. Cost per unit are normally determined by averaging the total cost. 3. The cost recorded under process costing are direct costs, direct labor costs, direct production, direct material cost, and production overhead cost. Then another one is there might be losses in the production process due to evaporation or whatsoever you can think of. But just note, there will be losses in the production process. For example, in the production of bread passes through different processes. You understand? Good. Now, it is possible for us to have spoilage during the production process, either due to overburnt bread or probably not well mixed bread, as the case may be. So we must be able to determine the normal loss. Normal loss simply means expected loss. We shall look at it subsequently today. Thank you. So these are the characteristics of process costing. The note will be provided to you, so acquaint yourself with this. Thank you. So we'll move on. Examples of industries where process costing might be suitable: manufacturing industry, chemical industry, cassava processing industry, oil mill industries, petroleum industry, beverages industry, pastry industry, bread industry. Now, issues in process costing is what we are going to look at now. We have the issues are discussed subsequently. Therefore, I will present the format for you from which we will draw our discuss therein. So we now have the format. This is a format of process costing. Now, looking at this format, you can see that it has 4 columns on the debit side, 4 columns on the credit side. Now, we have the detail units, cost per unit, naira sign. Detail units, cost per unit, naira sign at the credit side. Now, the debit side is meant to record this, so just note this: direct material cost, conversion cost, abnormal gain. The credit side is meant to record normal loss, abnormal loss, finished goods. Just these 3 things. So it is incumbent on you to cram this, acquaint yourself with this, and when you are given a question, you keep on picking the figures one after the other. It's very simple. At this stage, process costing is simple. We will soon progress and get to where we meet the difficulty aspect of process costing. Now, we'll look at conversion cost. What is conversion cost? Conversion cost is actually the cost we incur to convert the goods, the raw material, to finished goods. You understand? Example: labor cost, direct expenses, and production overhead. These are what we call conversion cost. Most of you might be used to this or not used to it, but note it today. The conversion cost is equal to direct labor, direct expenses, and production cost. We can write this here. Let's look at it. Conversion cost is equal to, you understand, direct labor cost plus direct expenses plus production overhead. So this is conversion cost. So it is for you to know and master it in case if you are asked to calculate conversion cost in the OBJ section. Are you there? Good. So with this, we are good to go. So we'll continue now. So move to normal loss. What is normal loss? Normal loss, this is the expected or budgeted loss by the management during the production process. You understand? So now the budget we would expect. Now this is, normal loss is a loss we dey expect say it go happen. You understand? For example, Hush PP, Hush Puppy, whatsoever was arrested today. We know he's a fraudster and we know he will soon be arrested. So we've already known and planned that one day Hush Puppy or PP will be arrested. So it is normal loss is that loss you already know it will what occur. You understand? Good. Now, this loss is usually stated as a percentage of units introduced. I will illustrate this point when we take a question. It's stated as a percentage of units introduced. So I will explain this very well when we commence. Now, units introduced is number of material brought into the production process as the case may be. Normally, normal loss is given based on the level of experience of management staff. So having worked for the company for a couple of 5 years, 4 years, 3 years upwards, you can be able to predict what will happen in that particular production process. I hope I'm understood. So we'll now move on to abnormal loss. This is the excess of actual loss over normal loss during the production process. You understand? Abnormal loss arises. Now let me break it down. Abnormal loss arises when the actual loss is greater or higher than the normal loss. You must know this thing by mind. If you want to do exceedingly well in process costing, you must know this. Am I understood? Good. Now, how can we calculate abnormal loss or abnormal gain? It is equal to actual loss minus normal loss. We'll look at this subsequently. Now, abnormal gain. This arises when the actual loss is less than normal loss. It can be recorded in the debit side of the process account. Finished goods is the output in a particular production process. Is the output in a particular production process. Is the output in a particular production process. Good. So we'll continue. So we now have recoverable value. Sometimes normal loss will have a scrap value. That is, it can be sold in a market during the production year. During the production period, I would prefer that. During the production period. Now, wastage. What is wastage or wastages? This arises when the normal losses or abnormal losses cannot be sold. That is, it does not have recoverable value. You understand? Good. So we'll now take practice question 1. Practice question 1 is actually what we look at to buttress our point so far and ensure that you understand it. Now, in this practice question 1, you are required to prepare process accounts. Am I understood? You are required to prepare process accounts. Now, I will read it. The following information relates to production process. Input quantities. This is unit introduced, 2,000 liters. Normal loss is 10%. Therefore, expected output is 1,800. Actual output is 1,800 liters. Direct material is 36. Direct labor is 300. Production overhead is 600. Now, you are required to calculate the production cost. Now, to prepare process cost account. So we'll now look at our explanatory notes. In our explanatory notes, we'll look at the simple explanation you need to know. Now, we have it here. Units introduced is 2,000, which is the input quantity. The expected unit is 1,008 units. The actual unit is 1,800 units. We'll continue. 2. Normal loss is 200 units, which is 2,000 times 10%. We now have 200 units. The actual loss is 200, which is 2,000 minus 1/8. Now, you must master how normal loss is computed and how actual loss is computed. 3. Cost per unit is computed using total cost less scrap value divided by expected units. You will see how this is done. Now, let's look at our process cost account. This is our process cost account. Process cost account. So in this process account, you have direct material is 2,000 units, which was the unit introduced, and the value of direct material is 36. Direct labor is 300. You see, direct labor is 300. While production overhead is 600. Are you there? Good. Now, you come to the credit side. You calculate your normal loss. Normal loss is done in the workings. Normal loss is 2,000 units times 10%. Remember, when I was explaining normal loss, I did say that normal loss is 10% of 2,000 units. So 10% of 2,000 is 200 units. That is how we got normal loss. But the question never gave us the recoverable value of normal loss. It never gave us the recoverable value of normal loss. Hence, the recoverable value of normal loss is nil. Understood? It's nil. So I'll prefer to use the word nil as an accountant, so we wouldn't have issues here. Now, finished goods, we have 1,800. Finished goods, 1,800. Finished goods, 1,800. How did we get 1,000? If you lost 200 in the production unit, the finished goods will be what? 1,800. Now, this is balancing figure. So let's take the total. Here is 2,000. Here is 2,000. Now, since it is 2,000, the unit is 2,000. The unit here is also 2,000. Now, 2,000 minus 200 will give you this, which is balancing figure. Hope you understood. 1,800. And this 1,800 is the same thing with the 1,800 that was given to us in the question as actual unit. You see, this will always balance by itself. We don't need to impute value. Now we'll come here. This is 4,500. This is 4,500. So 1,800 times 2.5 will give us 4,500. Now, in the workings, we are not yet done. So actual loss will now be 2,000 units minus actual units, which is 1,000 units, 1,800 units. I will give you 200 units. Now, abnormal loss or gain will now be 200 minus 200, which is nil. So that is why we don't have abnormal loss. There is no abnormal loss in the solution. There is no abnormal loss at all in the solution. Therefore, we now calculate our cost per unit. Our cost per unit will now be Our cost per unit will now be our cost per unit will now be 45 divided by 1,800, and that will now give us 2.50. Are you there? Good. So this 2.50 now is what we used to multiply our balancing 1/8 to get 45, and this correspond. So you can practice this often. Are you there? Good. So with immediate effect, we move down to practice question number 2. Now, using the above question, assume that the actual unit is now 1,700 units. You are required to prepare the process account. So it's only one thing that changed from the former solution, and that one thing is that the actual units, actual output is no longer 1/8. Actual output is now 1,800 units. 1,800 units. So actual unit has now changed to 1,700 units. Hope you understand. So with this now, we'll solve the solution. So explanatory notes for easy saying. So we have the actual output is 17 units. So the normal loss remains the same, which is the normal loss is 10%. Remain the same at 10%. Are you there? So we now have solution. So solution is the same. Direct material, you bring 2,000 units. You understand? Which is 36. You bring direct labor 300. Production overhead 600. You have 4,500. So normal loss is 200. There is no recoverable value, so it's nil. You understand? We agreed to be using nil as accountants. So abnormal loss is 100. You understand? Good. Now, if you balance this, this will give us 2,000. So you now come here. The total value will still be 2,000. So since it is 2,000, you now say 2,000 minus. So but we'll now come to our workings. Normal loss is 200. You know how it was gotten already. 10% of 2,000. Actual loss is 300 units, which is 200, which is 2,000 minus 17 will now give us 300. So abnormal loss or gain will now be 300, which is actual loss, minus 200, which is normal loss, will give you abnormal loss of 100 units. Why is it abnormal loss? It is positive. If it is negative, it's gain. You understand? So you must be careful in interpreting the equation. Therefore, we'll move on. Expected units. Expected units will now be 2,000 minus 200, which is 1/8. So cost per unit will now be total cost divided by 1,800. We have 2.5. So you now bring in your abnormal loss we calculated, which is 100, multiplied by this will give us 250. Now the difference between 2,200 and 100 will give us 17, and this 17 multiplied by 2.5 will give us this. So if you add up, it's the same. You see, the stuff is self-balancing. If you are getting your process costing correct, it must balance by itself. You don't need to kill yourself before balancing it. You understand? Good. So we now look at normal loss with scrap value. We shall take a question so that you can acquaint yourself with the treatment of normal loss with a recoverable value or scrap value. This value, upon computed, will be deducted from the total cost in order to determine the cost per unit. This model will help us to make a good interpretation of it. Cost per unit is equal to total cost minus scrap value divided by expected units. Now remember, we have been calculating cost per unit. We were only using total cost because there is no scrap value. Now, if there is scrap value, take away scrap value from total cost divided by expected units. So we'll take question. The same question. The only thing that changes one thing. There is now scrap units. There is now scrap units. So everything remaining the same in the solution. But scrap value is now 180. Since scrap value is now 180, since it is 180 now, what do? Everything will change. So in the workings, normal loss is 180. Normal loss is 2000. Normal loss is 2000. Normal loss is 2000. So normal loss is as the same, 200, which is 2000 times 10% will give us 200. Actual loss is 2000 minus 1/8. That's actual loss. 2000 minus 1/8. You understand? That's 200. Then abnormal loss is nil, which is 200 minus 200, which is nil. So we've gotten our abnormal loss. Then scrap value is 200 times 0.9, 180. So you come here, 180. So finished goods is 1800 as usual. So the total will now be 2000. Oh, Jesus. Which is 2000. Which is 2000 if you add all this. So here too will be 2000. So since normal loss is 200, take away 200 from 2000, you have finished goods to be 18. So now remember, our cost per unit remains 2.5. I hope you know how it was gotten. Is it 2.5? Let's check. So let's look at cost per unit. Cost per unit. Cost per unit will now be cost per unit will now be equal to 45 minus 180 divided by 180. So when you cross check with your calculator, you now see that will give us 4320 divided by 108, and that will give us 4320 divided by 180. 1800 will give you 2.4 as our answer. So we have equals to 2.4 as our answer. So if you come back here and multiply 2.4 by 1/8, you have 4,320. So it's balanced. So 4,320 plus 180 will give you 4,500. So as I said, the process costing will always balance by itself. You understand? The process costing will always balance by itself. However, this is just the introduction of our process costing. In our next class, we'll look at process costing too and take further hard questions for you to understand what process cost is all about. I would admonish you to read the notes I will provide you with, listen to this class again, come back and listen to it again, drop your question for me there, or you can chat me on WhatsApp for proper explanation if there is any confusion. Thank you for attending. You have a nice day.